Hello everyone, I am TRS instructor Derek Smith and I want to welcome you to another fight analysis video. So in this video we're going to look at a robbery in progress and we're going to see how the victim reacts to that robbery. Now this is a shooting video, so there will be shooting involved. Hey, before I get into everything, I've got a quick announcement. Fightfast has put together some ultra brutal fight-ending moves that YouTube won't allow on their platform. They're pretty ugly, but when it hits the fan and your life is on the line, you'll be glad you know these. This lethal training is yours for free. Just get to the description below and click on the link. Okay, let's get started. Now you're going to learn 3 things in this particular video. You're going to learn about awareness, you're going to learn about reaction time, and you're also going to learn about abilities. So let's take a look at the video and then we'll do our analysis. So in this video, you see a guy sitting and watching his phone and 2 people approach and they pull a gun. So right now you see one guy with this gun on the victim and he's obviously asking him for money. There's also a second individual with a gun here as well, and there's that second individual presenting his gun. The guy starts to give money to the robbers who start taking his time to take the money out of the register. They have the guns on them and you can't hear it right now, but they're screaming at him to hurry and things like that. Now you see he pulls his gun, he fires off shots, and the victims run off after he fired the shots. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to go back and I'm going to analyze this video and I'm talk about some of the things that he did right and some of the things that he did wrong in this particular video. So let's take this back a little bit and let's start from the beginning. Right here in the beginning you see that the individual is distracted, which happens quite often in a lot of these scenarios, because we've become so used to having our phones and watching our phones. So he's working inside the store and he really doesn't know what's going on in the store, perhaps because, as you see, he's looking down at his phone and he's watching his phone right now. So let's see what happens next. Now we see that one of the individuals is approaching. I'm going to pause it here. And the individual is approaching, starting to go for his gun. And at this point, the victim sees the individual going for his gun. As you see, he has a hand in his pocket and he's still sitting and just watching what's happening right now. He probably is in disbelief about what's happening in this particular situation. So he is sitting there and the guy is about to pull the gun on him and demand money, which you're going to see here in just a second. So the guy asks for the money, pulls out the gun, and now he has the gun on the individual. Again, there's a little bit of exchange going on. He's probably telling the guy, hey, where's the money? Get the money out of the register. This is a robbery, whatever it may be. And then the guy is going to react. So our victim is looking in disbelief. He puts down his phone. He walks over to the register and he starts taking out money. Now, as you've already seen, there is a gun under the register that he's going to get his hands on. I want to talk about that in just a few minutes here. But let's take a look at the second guy coming up and he has the gun on him as well. Now, I don't know the situation with how this place is set up. I mean, he is behind glass, but I don't know if it's bulletproof glass. Also, I don't know if the people can shoot through the counter, if they even think about that. If they can shoot through the wall and hit the guy behind. Because there's a few thoughts that I have here. Number one, if I can get off to the side of the angle here and move over to the side around this area, they might not be able to get a shot off through the glass. I don't know how large the opening is here for them to get a shot off. Now, if it's not bulletproof, I guess they can shoot through the glass or through the plastic and be able to hit this guy that way. I'm thinking that it's not there for COVID and it's probably there for protection, and maybe he's even been robbed before, but they have some protection up there in order to keep him from getting shot. So one of the things he could have done before stepping out of his seat, let's run it back a little bit, is instead of going to the register, perhaps he could have ducked or dropped to the floor and the guy wouldn't have been able to shoot him. But then the guy might have been able to stick the gun in and fire down at him when he's on the floor. So this was his reaction, so we'll deal with what we have so far. So again, the guy puts down his phone, he walks to the register, and he starts to take money out of the register. Again, we know there's a gun down there. Here comes the second individual with the gun. So at this point, they have the drop on them. And I've talked about having the drop on you before and how you have to react when someone has the drop on you. Basically, you don't want to try to go for your gun at this time because you have 2 guns pointed at you and they will beat you every time. You're not going to outdraw 2 guns that's already pointed at you. So you have to look for a time when you can distract the attackers and then you'll be able to get your weapon into the action. So let's see how he does that here as we go on. So the gun's on him. They're talking to him. They're asking for money. He's taking his time to take out the money. They're getting a little frustrated because I was able to hear them talking to the guy, and they're like, "Hey, guy, come on, hurry up, give us the money." Now, right here, the guy is going to make his move. Now, this is a very dangerous time for him. He was very lucky in this situation. Again, both guns are facing him. He's facing the individuals. He's about to hand them the money, and then, again, they have the drop on him, but he's going to pull his gun. So let's watch and see what happens when that takes place. Right here, he's giving the money. He drops the money, and he goes for his gun. He has his gun out. Now, I want to stop here because right now you see he does not have his gun out yet, and there are two guns. There are two guns pointed at him at this point. So they could fire and take this guy out. Again, he got very lucky in this situation, and you don't want to do this. You don't want to draw your weapon when there's two guns pointed at you. This was probably not the best time for him to draw his weapon. It worked, so I'm not going to backseat quarterback and say it doesn't work because it worked for him, but it was a dangerous time to draw. Let's see what happens next. He comes out. Now, I want to go back for a second. Did you see that? Did you see what just happened with his weapon? Let's go back and take a look at what occurred. When he took out his weapon, he had to rack the weapon. He had to put a bullet in the chamber before he could fire his weapon. This, again, cost him time and could have cost him his life. Let's watch that. You see him rack the weapon and then get a shot off. Now, the people start running. The attackers start running at this point. So he was lucky there. Instead of firing, they wanted to get the heck out of the way from him presenting his gun. But if you have a gun for your protection, it should already have a bullet in the chamber. Because that split second that he spent racking that gun, if it could have done several things. One of the things is that if he didn't rack it back far enough or do it correctly, he could have stovepipe and had a malfunction and not be able to get a shot off. Again, second thing, he could have been shot while trying to rack it. If you have a gun for protection, have it ready for protection. Some people don't believe in carrying one in the chamber because they're not proficient with weapons and they think they're going to shoot themselves. Now, I say that you need to practice, and I'm going to get to that in just a little bit, with your weapon, know your weapon, and have that chambered and ready to go. If you're in a street situation, somebody pulls a gun on you and they already have the gun, the bad guy is going to have the drop. They're going to already have their weapon out, and they're going to be ready to take you down. So if you're going to try to outdraw them, distract them, and then draw, you can't draw, rack your weapon, and then get it on target. Have that weapon ready to go. So he racks it, and he fires off a shot. Now I want to talk about something else that you just saw here that is dangerous. Now he took out the weapon, and he had to rack it with his strong hand. So let's take a look here. He racked the weapon, and then he switched hands. He did get a shot off with that weapon, but I'm going to tell you this about the shot. If we take another look at this shot, the shot was not an intended shot. When he racked his weapon, a shot went off inadvertently because he had his finger on the trigger already, and when he racked it, it went off. Now, that was good for him because he was able to get his shot off, but that is not good weapon control or good control or anything like that because he does not know where that bullet was going to go. He doesn't know if that bullet was on target, and you have to be cognizant of other people in the store, other people behind that may have gotten shot. That was a mistaken shot that went off, but luckily it went off in the right direction. Now, another thing he did is he had to change his strong hand. He racked with his strong hand, which is right hand, but then he had to change the weapon over to his right hand in order to shoot. If you're going to rack the weapon, you need to rack the weapon with your weak hand so you can go right on target. Matter of fact, I rack on target so I can get my shot off already. So you have to rack. You don't want to rack, switch it over, and then fire the weapon. You need to be able to rack that weapon, put that that bullet in the chamber, and be ready to fire if you have to do it. It should already be racked, as I said before. He switched hands, and now let's look at another thing that he did. I want to take it back a little bit. I want to take a look at how he's actually holding the gun. Now, this actually used to be taught some time ago, but this is one of the worst ways you can hold a weapon. This shows his inability. I told you I'm going to talk about ability. This shows his lack of ability in handling firearms. Two things showed it. The way he racked the weapon and also the way he's holding this weapon as he's discharging rounds. Because he's holding his wrist, and that's not really going to steady the weapon. If there's a hole, there's going to be a chance for that weapon to jump out of your hand. I'm going to demonstrate that for you in just a second. I have a weapon here, and the weapon does not have anything in the chamber. I'm going to demonstrate that here in just a second. Nothing in the chamber in this weapon. Now, when you have your weapon in hand, you see that there's an opening here. If there's an opening, there's a chance that this weapon can jump out of your hand. So we don't reinforce this way by holding our wrist. We fill all space so that we have a firm grip on that weapon when we're shooting. You should be able to see me holding that weapon. Also, I have trigger control. My finger is not on the trigger until I'm ready to shoot. This is how we want to hold our weapon, not like this. That was another mistake that he made in this particular video. All right, let's keep going here. So he's holding the weapon wrong, but he does get a few shots off at the perps. They run off, and he kind of takes a step back, and the video ends. Now, I don't know what happened after this video. I do know from reading the story, though, that one of the perpetrators was actually shot. Probably when he got that first shot off when the guy was standing in front of him. Let's go back and take a look at that one. As he racked it, a bullet went off, and that guy was standing in front of him. That guy standing in front of him was probably hit by that shot that went off. And that was the result. All right, so a couple things in this lesson I want to talk about once again. The first one was awareness. I always talk about what we call the Cooper color code. So in the Cooper color code, we talk about condition white, which means you're not paying attention at all, which is what this guy is doing right now, looking at his phone. Condition yellow, which you're kind of aware. You're going to see him go into condition yellow when these guys come in. You see him looking up now, and he's in condition yellow. He know that, hey, there's someone actually in the store at least. So now he's in condition yellow. Now he goes to condition orange, where now he has to react. He's going, the guns are on him. He has to take some type of action. So he's going over to give them the money. Then we move to condition red, where he's actually drawing his weapon, and he's now in the fight. So again, condition white. You don't want to find yourself in condition white. You don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're not aware of what's going on around you. Maybe he could have seen these guys when they first come into the store, and he could have already been standing and had his weapon ready, because these guys come in with hoodies tied up all the way around their face. Maybe there was some suspicion that could have been drawn, and he could have been getting ready where he would have already had his weapon charged and ready to go, which it should be in the first place. Another thing I talked about again was having the ability to be able to use your weapon proficiently. So you want to practice with your weapon. You want to make sure that you understand your weapon. You can rack it with one hand, be ready to put it on target and be able to proficiently hit what it is that you're trying to hit with your weapon. So you need to practice regularly with your weapon and know your weapon. All right, everybody, so that is it for this particular video, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, one last thing. Remember to get these ultra brutal fight-ending moves. These are free, but they're so nasty and brutal that YouTube simply won't allow Fightfast to show them on its platform. Again, this lethal training is yours for nothing. Just get to the description below and click on the link.